Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new airplane here on the bench today. We have the new E-flite 1.2 meter Decathlon RJG edition. RJG meaning RJ Gritter. So yeah, very cool new product. It's a new, it's a scale civilian, general aviation type product with a kind of a twist. It's far more aerobatic than, let's say, my my Cherokee or my Cirrus, because it's patterned after a real aerobatic aircraft. So the Decathlon here actually has its roots traced all the way back to the early days of the Aeronca Champ, and it was a really good airframe that lent itself very well to be modified into an aerobatic plane. So as it went through its iteration of different designs, it eventually got to the point we have today, the Decathlon. There's also a Super Decathlon as well. So we have no flaps, focused on lightweight, high performance. Also the wing design is different. It's kind of cambered on the top and the bottom, meaning it can do inverted flight remarkably well. So it has a number of things on the full scale version that make it ideal for aerobatics. In fact, a lot of times this is really a great aerobatic trainer aircraft. So if you were a full-scale pilot and you were going to look into getting into aerobatics and you were going to fly at air shows and do that type of flying work, this is actually the type of airplane that you would get into. The difference is here with the RJ Gritter aircraft is that this is his air show performing aircraft. So he tours the country in this aircraft here, and he performs at air shows. I saw him perform at Oshkosh last year. Had a chance to meet RJ Gritter in person. Actually got a chance to see him fly our seaplanes at the Twilight Flight Fest. So very cool guy. A little bit more on him in just a few moments, but I'm going to go ahead and move get the box out of here. Let's get the aircraft out and actually take a look at that, because while it's pretty on the box, it's even cooler when you get it out and look at it in person. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. Here it is, right here, the RJ Gritter Edition E-flite Decathlon, and it's very cool. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the coolest finishes I've ever seen on an aircraft. So let me just kind of talk about that a little bit, and then we'll kind of go back into the history of RJ Gritter and of the aircraft itself. So the first thing that when you get it out of the box you realize is that there's almost no bare foam on this aircraft. There's some on the bottom, but for the most part, everything you see here is either paint or water slide decal, and the result of that is just an incredible finish on this aircraft that's unlike anything else that I've ever seen from E-flite. It is really unique. Now the paint scheme, it's been a little polarizing. Some people do not like the paint scheme at all, but this is the actual paint scheme that RJ is using for the 2024 flying season. So if you see him perform at an air show now, he will be performing with this aircraft. So the designers work pretty close with RJ, and so they were able to not only design the aircraft around his, but including the paint scheme. As he was finalizing the paint scheme for his aircraft, the changes were being applied to this one here. And I believe I even read that that RJ actually helped develop the RC plane as well, have test fly it, and kind of get it proven out and make sure it's flying to his liking. The reason for that is RJ actually got his start in RC flying. He was his dad was a test pilot. His mom, I believe, was also a pilot as well. And so he grew up around aviation. He had a love affair for aviation. He got his pilot's license, but he really started to fly aerobatics in the RC world. He actually won some competitions with RC aircraft in aerobatics. He then, after college, he got an aeronautical engineering degree. He went back to get a decathlon and go down the path of full-scale aerobatics. So he modified the aircraft. He continually works on it to make it even better. And for this year, it's got this new paint scheme on it. And I had to tell you, it was not far from me up at the Traverse City air show just a few weeks ago, and the pictures of that aircraft with the Grand Traverse Bay in the background and everything were absolutely awesome. So very cool to see this aircraft in the full-scale world as well as in the RC world. All right, moving on to the RC aircraft here. So it's, like I said, it's a scale general aviation airplane, which is exactly what I love. The difference of this one is that it's really more, it's more geared towards aerobatics, which is something I don't have a lot of experience. In fact, I have the aerobatics, and I tried flying 3D, and I'm still not quite understanding how to do that. So taking a little bit of a step in a different direction and trying to go something maybe a little bit closer to my flying style, more scale aerobatics. And I think the best way to do that for me is to have a plane that looks the part. And so that's what I have here with Decathlon. So it's got fairly large ailerons on it. Elevator's pretty large, so it's the rudder. It's nothing crazy. I mean, this is not it's not like a Timber X or an Extra 300 or anything like that. But it most certainly has some slightly bigger control surfaces than I would be used to in one of my normal planes. So because of that, I'm gonna probably start with it dialed down a little bit on the rates and expo there until I get used to it. And then as I start to build some confidence with the aircraft, I can increase those rates so I can do a little bit more aerobatics with it. It does have AS3X. It also has SAFE, so if I get myself into trouble, you can always hit SAFE and then level the aircraft back out again, regain kind of the orientation and everything. Because that's usually what gets me the most, is when I try to do some sort of a maneuver and the airplane comes out looking a little bit funky to me in the sky. I had trouble with orientation. So that will definitely help to have SAFE available in case I need to flip the switch, get the airplane level back out again, get my wits about me, and keep on going. It also does have navigation lights on it. It has a rear anti-collision light, which is a pretty cool feature. Like my Cherokees have kind of a dummy light back there, but this one actually has a legit light on the rudder. And then of course the typical wingtip lights as well. And I believe it's got a landing light. It does. It has a landing light on it as well. So that will help too with orientation. A lot of times in low light or dust conditions or even overcast, sometimes it's nice to keep an eye on the lights as they're moving around in the air. That way you can really see what the orientation of the aircraft is. And as far as assembly goes, this has to be one of the easiest models I think I've ever put together. It's remarkably quick. The wings go together. It's got these really nice machined thumb screws on the top. The struts on the bottom just simply click into place. They're really easy. I mean, you could most certainly take this wing off. There's a little holder for everything to transport with the struts and everything. So if you're tight on space, you could most certainly just 2 thumb screws, take the wing off, and transport it to the flying field. Tail goes together remarkably simple. I think there's just 2 screws that go in from the bottom, one for the rudder. Something that I did that I've been kind of doing more of these days is I use the little body reamer for RC cars, to puncture the hole through the polycarbonate. I put that in the plastic bosses for the tail, and I give it just a few turns, just enough to put a lead-in chamfer on the hole for the screws. And sure enough, the screws go in buttery smooth. It just gives something for the screw to help line into and kind of help get that first thread cut into the plastic, and it went buttery smooth after that. So no complaints on there. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine the entire installation of everything took more than 10-15 minutes. I mean, it was remarkably fast. You take the landing gear on. There's just a few screws on the bottom here to hold the gear on, and you're in business. In terms of battery, it will fly on a 2200 3S or 4S, which is great because I have a mountain of 2200 3Ss and a few 4Ss as well. So that's my preferred battery. Wingspan is 1.2 meters, which is also kind of my comfort zone. As the airplanes get bigger, I don't have a lot of comfort in big airplanes. I prefer smaller airplanes, and I know everyone's going to comment bigger flies better. I have not found that to be the case. I find that bigger just flies more expensive. Everything is it's more stressful to fly. So here, 1.2 meter size, 2200 3S or 4S pack. Definitely well within my comfort zone of what I like about the airplane. It's also sub $300, which is another nice kind of a comfort area that I feel okay in. The bigger, more expensive models get me extremely nervous to fly them. And if you're too nervous to fly them and too nervous to try things with them and explore the limits of it, then that's really not a lot of fun to do. So I think this is kind of the best of all the worlds, for me at least, to have an aircraft that I can get into a little bit more of the aerobatic and sport flying, kind of what they used to call like even sometimes like pattern flying. Get into more of that type of flying in something that's my comfort level in terms of size, performance, battery, and price point. And I think from all of those things, Horizon nailed it remarkably well. Plus, it is a scale airplane. It's not a made-up airplane. It's a scale version of the Decathlon. It looks exactly like the one RJ Gritter flies at air shows. So it's got that going for it. And I have to say, it's silly, but one of the coolest things to me was the fact that it has a scale exhaust pipe coming out the cowl there. I know that sounds absolutely silly, but you wouldn't believe how many times I have to take a piece of plastic or a piece of aluminum tubing and cut an exhaust pipe and put the exhaust on an airplane. I know it's silly, but as a scale detail, it looks silly not to have it. So the fact that they even included the exhaust pipe on there, that's pretty cool. I thought that's a very neat little touch that they did there. The other thing I really like too is the silver and red prop. So they got the prop is already got the tips painted. It's bright silver colored, so you can see it. So if the aircraft is coming at you, or if it's coming into the sun, that you get that nice disc of silver there with the red prop tips. I didn't have to paint the prop tips. I didn't have to paint the prop. In fact, thinking about it, I haven't done anything to this plane in terms of scale details or all the scale stuff I normally do because it came pretty much perfect out of the box. I can't think of anything I would do to this. My Cherokee or a lot of the other planes, I go all over with 3D printed parts and scale bits and details and decals all over and weather. There's nothing to do on this one. It's done. There's no need for any weathering. It's an airshow plane. Airshow planes are kept up very, very, very nice. This is most certainly not the Decathlon that you're going to see at the flying club that has got hundreds and hundreds of hours on it, and every pilot has flown it in the club. This is not that airplane. This thing is an airshow aircraft that is kept remarkably clean. So there's no weathering or anything to do on it. It literally comes out of the box, for me, perfect. Ready to go. So I'm excited. I've never flown a Decathlon. I know historically in the RC world, these have been kind of difficult to fly. Everybody that I've talked to that's had one of these already, and especially those who have flown some of the old Decathlons and was like, oh my gosh, that is a very difficult plane to fly. They've flown this one and they go, I don't know what they did, but it got rid of all the weirdness of an RC Decathlon. Somehow this doesn't seem to suffer from it. So that's got me excited too, because if a lot of times high performance aerobatic tail draggers can be a handful to fly. And so I'm not really looking for a stressful flying experience. I'm looking for an enjoyable flying experience. And I think based on everything that I've read, all the reviews, everybody that I've talked to, this looks like the clear winner for me. So if you're like me and you're used to flying the scale civilian or the scale warbird type thing, and you want to try your hand at something a little bit different like scale aerobatics or pattern flying, and you're not sure what type of aircraft to get, maybe the Extra 300, the Timber X, some of those aircraft maybe just be a little bit too hot, or maybe like in the case of the Timber there, it's not really based on a real airplane, right? And you want to have that real airplane experience. I think this is probably the best way to go. So I'm excited to go ahead and get this one in the air. I don't know if this video will come out before or after Oshkosh, but if it comes out before, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing RJ perform with this very aircraft at Oshkosh. And if it comes out after, then I hope to come back and say I really love watching RJ Gritter fly the full-scale version of this at Oshkosh. So it's just something that's really cool to see here on the workbench. It's a beautiful airplane. I hope that the camera shows off all the really awesome details of this aircraft, because when you see it in person, it's really, really cool. And I think a lot of times it's hard when you see stuff just on the website or you see stuff in video or just in pictures. It's tough to really see how awesome an airplane is until you get it in your hands. So unfortunately, you're watching this on YouTube and not seeing it how I'm seeing it in person. But you know what? There's a way you can change that. You can visit your local hobby shop, pick one up, go to horizonhobby.com, pick one up. It's definitely one that you'll want to have in your hangar for sure. So if you guys get any questions on the RJ Gritter Edition 1.2 meter decathlon, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And if you subscribe, thank you so much for doing so. And I know I've picked up a number of new subscribers lately, and so thank you so much for all of you that have subscribed. Makes me feel good that somebody out there is watching these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy them. I know I do things a little bit different than a lot of the videos out there on YouTube, but hopefully mine is something you guys will enjoy. So talk to you guys later.